The city of Toronto had been a fortress of Filipino pride for an entire week. 10,000 fans packed Sobeys Stadium, waving Philippine flags, chanting Alex Eala's name, and creating an atmosphere that tournament director Carl Hale called unheard of for an early round session. The energy was electric. The love was undeniable. The Eala mania sweeping the tennis world had turned the Canadian Open into a celebration of Filipino culture. Then, the music stopped. Alexandra Eala's historic run came to a heartbreaking end. A 6-4, 6-0 defeat at the hands of Belinda Bencic sent the Filipina sensation crashing out of the tournament in the round of 16. The packed stands fell silent. The flags hung limp. The city of Toronto suddenly felt completely different. But in Cincinnati, a different scene was unfolding. Just days after her Toronto heartbreak, Alex Eala was arriving at the Lindner Family Tennis Center for the Cincinnati Open, and the city was erupting. The Filipino community in Ohio, like their counterparts in Toronto, had turned out in full force. The excitement was palpable. The expectations were sky high, and Eala, seeded 17th for the first time in her career, was ready to make another statement. This is the story of how a young woman from Quezon City became the biggest draw in women's tennis, and how Cincinnati is about to witness the next chapter of Eala mania. Just days after her devastating loss to Belinda Bencic in Toronto, Alexandra Eala had barely paused to catch her breath before the next challenge arrived. The 21-year-old Filipina sensation, who had won 7 consecutive matches following her historic DC Open triumph, was already preparing for the Cincinnati Open. Definitely will take maybe 2 days off, a day or two, Eala had said after the Toronto defeat. I do have to travel to Cincinnati. I need to get a haircut. I haven't gotten a haircut in a while. My nails are grown out. The moment of levity revealed a lighter side to the young champion, a side that had been hidden beneath the weight of expectations and the grueling schedule of the North American hardcourt swing. But even in her exhaustion, Eala's focus was already on the future. I'm taking the lessons that I've had from these 2 weeks and hopefully implementing them even more and in a better way in Cincinnati and New York, she said. The U.S. Open, the final Grand Slam of the season, was just weeks away, and Cincinnati was the last major tune-up before the biggest stage of all. The Filipino fans, who had turned Toronto into a sea of Philippine flags, were already tracking Eala's every move. Social media buzzed with anticipation. The question on everyone's lips was simple: what could Eala accomplish in Cincinnati? When the WTA released the player list for the Cincinnati Open, a milestone was announced that would have been unthinkable just months earlier. Alexandra Eala had been seeded 17th in the tournament, the highest seeding of her career in a WTA 1000 event. The numbers told the story. Eala was currently ranked world number 20, the highest ranking ever achieved by a Filipino tennis player, male or female. Her first round bye was a reward for her consistency, her resilience, and her ability to compete with the best in the world. This is the highest seeding that a Filipino athlete has received in a WTA 1000 event in history, her team might as well have declared. Just weeks earlier, she had been unseeded at Wimbledon. Now, she was being treated as one of the elite players on the tour. The draw, however, was not going to be easy. Eala was projected to face a gauntlet of champions that reflected the depth of the Cincinnati field. A first round bye would allow her to recover from the physical toll of the Toronto run, but the challenges ahead were significant. Eala's projected path included a likely third-round clash with Amanda Anisimova, a potential fourth-round meeting with Wimbledon champion Linda Nosková, a possible quarterfinal against Jessica Pegula, the same player she had defeated in the Washington final, and a potential semifinal showdown with Iga Swiatek or Elena Rybakina. In the final, Aryna Sabalenka or Coco Gauff were the most likely opponents. The draw was a reflection of Eala's new status. She was no longer a promising junior or a wildcard entry. She was a seed, and with seeding came expectation. Eala's arrival in Cincinnati was not just a sporting event, it was a cultural phenomenon. The Filipino community, which had shown up in unprecedented numbers in Toronto, was mobilizing in Ohio. The scenes at Sobeys Stadium had become legendary. Tickets for Eala's first match had sold out in under 30 minutes. The 10,000-seat stadium was packed with fans waving Philippine flags, wearing T-shirts with the words "Fight," "Believe," "Represent," and chanting Eala's name. The energy was electric. The support was overwhelming. Belinda Bencic, who had defeated Eala in Toronto, had acknowledged the crowd in her post-match interview. "I know most of you guys were cheering for Alex, but I still have to say it was very nice for me to play in front of you all," she said. The Swiss star, who had been playing against the sea of Filipino fans, had recognized the atmosphere as something special. Katie McNally, who had pushed Eala to 3 sets in Toronto, had been similarly moved. Beyond thankful for all the love and kind messages received from people all around the world, but especially the Filipinos, McNally had written in a social media post. The atmosphere out there was absolutely electrifying. The phenomenon had even caught the attention of the players' sponsors. Jessica Pegula had acknowledged it in her Washington runner-up speech. Naomi Osaka had addressed it, and Eala, for her part, had described her fans with characteristic humility. "I am kind of just like a drop in the ocean when it comes to Filipinos and their pride for their culture and where they come from." Eala's popularity had not gone unnoticed by the corporate world. Just days after her Toronto run, she had scored her first lucrative sponsorship deal following the Canadian Open. Marriott Bonvoy had appointed Eala as the face of their Asia-Pacific, excluding China, APEC, edition of the Tennis the World campaign. It was a significant endorsement for a player who was not just winning matches, but also inspiring a generation. The sponsorship was a recognition of Eala's global appeal. She had become more than just a tennis player. She had become a brand, a symbol of Filipino pride, a representation of the possibility that a child from a developing country could rise to the top of a global sport. The Marriott deal was not Eala's only endorsement. She had existing sponsorships with Nike, Globe Telecom, Babolat, Bank of the Philippine Islands, Milo Philippines, and Locally Juice. But the new deal with Marriott was another milestone in her rapid ascent. Eala's popularity has really taken off lately, one sports journalist noted. She's become one of the biggest draws in women's tennis, thanks not only to her engaging personality, but also to her impressive performances on court. The sponsorship was a testament to the Eala mania that had taken over the tennis world. As Eala prepared for her Cincinnati debut, the tennis world was watching with bated breath. The Filipina sensation had already achieved more than anyone had thought possible. She had won her first WTA title. She had reached the round of 16 at Wimbledon. She had climbed to world number 20. But the best was yet to come. Eala's message to her fans was one of determination and gratitude. "Maraming salamat mga kababayan," she had said in Tagalog, thanking Filipinos in Toronto and Washington for cheering, praying, and even staying awake late at night to follow her matches. "Thank you so much, my fellow Filipinos, for everything you did for me. You're always supporting me, always praying for me, and always staying up late. So I'll continue working hard. Thank you." Her acknowledgement of fans staying awake carried particular meaning. Eala's North American matches often begin late at night or early in the morning in the Philippines, but that has not stopped supporters from following her rapid ascent. The Eala mania was not just a phenomenon, it was a movement. As Eala stepped onto the court in Cincinnati, she carried the weight of a nation on her shoulders. She carried the expectations of millions of Filipinos who had embraced her as their hero. She carried the hope that the best was yet to come. And with a first-round bye, a career-high ranking, and a custom Nike kit ready for the U.S. Open, Alexandra Eala was ready to prove the world right.